All right, so as I just said, it's 5:32, so I'll call to order this meeting of the Community Preservation Committee on Thursday, August 24th, 2023. The committee is recording this meeting, and if anyone else is recording, you're required to let me know. Not seeing anyone else, so I will assume not. Let's do a roll call for attendance here. Garth is not here. Tom
Is here.
here. Wisty
Here.
Susan
Here.
Donna
Here.
all right, and Travis, I am here, so we do have a quorum. We just have a quorum, but that's all we need. So, all right. So next on the agenda is public comment. Open it up to public comment. If anyone joins in this second and wants to comment. All right, not seeing any public comment, so we'll move on to approval of minutes from July 27th, 2023.
I move that be accepted as printed.
Second.
All right, a motion to accept, seconded. Any other comments or concerns? All right, hearing none. I'm going to do a roll call vote just since we're not all in the same place. Tom,
Here.
accepting the minutes.
Yes.
Wisty,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. So those minutes are approved. All right, so new business.
Oh, I'm taking the minutes for tonight.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's, I don't think we have that on our agenda anywhere, but.
Good.
That's okay.
Well, we said we weren't going to do it until we had a full quorum,
Yeah,
and a full membership.
have a discussion, yeah, once we get down to recruitment of members, maybe we can talk about that. Even though we don't need to really recruit anymore.
I guess that's the spot to update on who is going to be members.
So first, under new business, we have discussed updates to community preservation plan and vote to finalize for fiscal year 24. So hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to look at that. I know based on our conversation last time, I made some edits and Christian said no one else had sent him edits, so I'm just gonna share my edited version. And then we can discuss. Okay. Do you need to hit a button or does it? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. I guess at the top, Christian had asked if anyone had a new photo to put on there.
We don't have to, but
Yeah.
that would be good to have a different photo.
Yeah, it'd be good
to
to
tell
have
them
it.
apart.
I was actually thinking each year we should rotate categories, like a historic photo and then have a housing photo.
That's a good idea.
I don't have another photo
I
to.
could there's other photos that are in it. I could just move one of them.
Yeah.
Make it the cover page one.
Okay. I don't know if we need to go page by page. This is all formatting stuff.
Share this. You can't see it, Donna? Oh, wait.
Sorry, we thought you could see it.
Share to meeting. Can you see it now?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that all of these edits until we get to open space are edits that were in the file that was sent to everyone.
Yep.
So
Yeah, this was just me going through and if there's anything that was wrong date wise or just like slight tweaks here and there.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you because I went through it and I thought you did a very good job.
Thanks.
okay, so if no one really has any concerns, I'll just kind of skip through.
I do have some comments. I don't know if you want me to wait until later, they may already be covered by you, but it's
Okay.
mostly housekeeping stuff.
Okay, do you know like what page numbers?
So on page 12 in the document, when you look at the pagination, where it says to preserve and protect, and it says acquire land, this is under open space, and it says see the map on the following page, but that map is actually on page 16, so that might want to be changed to see map on page 16.
Yeah, I actually did quite a bit of updating in the open space section
Okay,
specifically, so I don't know if we want to just look at my edits here and then.
yeah,
Um,
that's fine, because you probably addressed some of these. I guess the only other thing I would add, and maybe you already have done it, is I think it's important to have links to the open space and recreation plan, where people can actually like click and go to the full document. Same with the sustainable master plan. And I would also add the vulnerability preparedness plan, because that's something that's referenced there.
Okay. So maybe add links. Okay, so my edits that I did, I kind of went through based on kind of the discussion that Donna and I had at the last meeting about how it's kind of confusing with the open space and the recreation. And I was looking at Community Preservation Coalition's website about open space and looking at all this stuff. And basically what I came to understand is essentially preserving open space is, it's essentially like conservation land where usually it's for like this stuff, conservation, wildlife habitat, migration corridors, watersheds, wetlands, river corridors, agricultural lands, things like that. And then, there's the possibility that they can be used for passive recreation as well. So I kind of went through and like either took out or de-emphasized all of the recreation stuff under open space. So like I just deleted improve physical access to and quality of public parks, open space and recreation amenities, because that's pretty much recreation and not open space. Expand opportunities for residents to engage in programming and passive recreation activities. Passive recreation is allowed, but I don't know, it just sounded a little more recreation and
Yeah.
I just took it out.
Yeah.
Enhance urban spaces through tree canopies, pollinator gardens, community gardens, small parks. That all sounds like recreation to me. Other than tree canopy, I did add something about trees actually later. But urban trees, I don't think you're really gonna have like conservation land, downtown or anything.
Right.
I kept this protect heritage, landscapes, significant view corridors. And then this one I changed where it says reduce flooding and erosion along Green River. I added through open space preservation and floodplain / wetland restoration.
Good.
Because I think that's the way we would do that. And there was a question about what that even meant. And then I added this bullet point, increase passive recreation opportunities in properties acquired or preserved as open space. So it does have the recreation in there, but, specifically, it would be preserved as open space and there'd be recreation opportunities.
Travis, I think those really.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good, very good improvements.
Okay, and then there is this box here about what passive recreation is, since that's what's allowed on open space properties. And then down here, these are the following objectives. Preserve, protect, and enhance Greenfield's open spaces. I crossed out protect and expand trail systems. And then I did cross out that CMAP on the following page. And I crossed out expand community gardens, because I think that would probably be done on recreation land and not like conservation land. And then provide and improve connections and maximize access to open spaces to all residents. I crossed out this bikeway one, even though that could go through open space. I just said acquire open space properties with passive recreation opportunities in environmental justice neighborhoods, because this next one's about community gardens and environmental justice neighborhoods that I crossed out. And then I crossed out picnic tables and other amenities on this next one. So it's just improve ADA accessibility to open spaces such as accessible trails and parking.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Just because I've been out of town for so long. Where would there be environmental justice neighborhood issues in Greenfield?
Oh, a good portion of the city is actually environmental justice. Most of the western part of town is an environmental justice. Your areas are environmental justice areas. The neighborhood around the Lutz site is all environmental justice areas.
I think this map, the light blue
Oh, yeah.
up here,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
environmental justice
Yeah,
areas.
all of that.
Okay, I guess I have a different definition of that.
Well, that's how the state defines.
Yeah, no, I look at it as if a city or town or a developer is going to build a new sewer plant, or they're gonna build a new blah.
Mm.
And the best place to put it is south end of Deerfield Street, okay? Where there's economic issues there, or next to Leiden Woods. That, I see, I don't see all of, I'm not opposed, it's just
Yeah.
my conception of it's a little
Yeah.
different,
And
that's,
I think the definition, and there, it actually says the definition somewhere.
it's okay.
Yeah, there it is.
Well, this doesn't say how they choose which ones, but I know there's different categories. There's like environmental justice areas for income,
Yeah,
race,
right,
different
yeah.
things like that, so.
Yeah.
Could you put that map up one
Oh,
more
yeah.
time?
And this is only part of Greenfield in this one.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
I know up to the north, there's an environmental justice area.
Yeah, that's true.
For income.
City owned
That's good
open
thing.
space. What's that little green square?
Which one?
The one, no, down next to the energy park, if you go to the energy park, and then come up to the end, the other end of it.
Oh,
It looks like it's,
I think this might be all parks. Like,
that's, yeah, I guess.
I think it might be,
Oops.
So our parking lot is.
That one. Yeah, that one.
I think that's where the school.
Is that
Oh,
Shattuck?
is it the schools?
Yeah, Shattuck, is Shattuck Park there?
No, Shattuck Park's up.
Up a little further.
Yeah.
Isn't this where the school right here?
Federal North and South?
That's the middle school.
Middle school.
That's,
That's
Because the other green one must be Beacon Field.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I figured that was Beacon, I just didn't get,
yeah.
okay.
It couldn't be, it couldn't be the community garden in the back of the senior center,
yeah,
could it?
could be.
No, that's,
No.
That's too far.
I don't know. Anyway, we can
I'm
go.
sorry.
Can I plug something
Look at
else?
that.
No, go ahead, keep going.
Sorry, Donna.
Yeah,
Oh, no, can you go back to the map,
Yeah.
that you were just at, the environmental justice? This was another place where, on the second paragraph, an analysis conducted using GIS, see map on the next page.
Oh,
There's no map on the next page, so.
yeah. I think we could just delete CMAP on next
Yeah.
page.
Okay, that's it.
And then I think I did have a few more edits up here just to go through. Expand community gardens.
These are great edits, Donna,
Yeah,
you
these
too.
And then
Yeah.
also under this one about climate resiliency, I just crossed out plant native trees in urban areas and open spaces. Because there's already increased forest resiliency and carbon storage.
sure.
And I figured if it's not gonna be in urban areas, then
Yeah.
I would just take it out. So I think those are all the updates I did in open space, and
Great.
hopefully that makes it a little more clear that it's like, if it's an open space, and the hard thing with open space is like, we haven't acquired any properties through CPA for open space. So we can't do any work on an open space property unless the city acquires new open space with CPA first. So any project that's not acquiring land for conservation purposes is going to be recreation or one of the other categories.
There was just one thing on the housing that didn't go down, that I was concerned about and then finally figured it out, but I just want to note it. There's a chart for the income, yeah, that there, because it starts, if you see the 6 and the 9 are not connected to each other.
Oh, yeah, just.
Yeah, I looked at, I went, no, it's not $9,000, you know, so just, you know, I figured it out, but it's just a note that we have to make sure that we do that right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see where it gets into the hundreds of
I think when
thousands.
Yeah, then that's what helped me figure it out.
Yeah, so if I
Yeah.
accept it,
Yeah,
it looks like that.
right, but it's one of those things I just wanted to note it because it was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, that's really wrong, and then it's like, no, it's not. Okay.
Okay. So hopefully everyone had a chance to look through this. I don't know if there's anything else anyone wanted to look at, or if we want to just say it's good for now, or.
I think it's good for now.
Thank you for doing that
Yes.
too.
Absolutely.
Donna, did you have anything else?
No, I think that's good. Just, it'd be nice to have those links and I think we're good to go. Thank you,
Yeah.
Was
Travis.
one of the last pictures, the one of the food truck and the,
Oh, man. Not sure where I was.
and it's okay, you don't have to find it.
I
Somehow,
like having this chart in here.
Yes, that was good, that's good, yeah.
All the detail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of,
That's helpful.
that's kind of the perfect level of detail, like you can pretty much figure out almost anything
Yeah.
using that chart.
Sorry, I'm not sure where that
that's
photo
okay,
was that you were.
forget it.
I don't know. It's probably something
I was
scrolled
gonna
past.
make a side comment.
The only space where I like actually like really like added was the section where we're talking about how we're updating. Like I added like describing this year's process.
Hmm.
So, but it's pretty factual, so there you go.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I looked at that and I thought that.
Yeah, the only piece of feedback we did get, we reached out to city council, boards and commissions, just like last year, just telling them, hey, we're doing the annual update. No, nothing from them. We did get, which I sent to all of you. Where is he? You don't have that email, do you, Travis?
I could look it up, but I would disconnect my. It's not where I go root around through my email.
Thought I had it right at the front. After the plan. There it is. That was from John McGee. I don't know if you just want to read it, Travis. I mean, this is our only piece of feedback.
Yeah. I could read it. And this was just, not necessarily related to the plan, but just feedback in general. Yeah, John McGee, 14 Green Street. Reading CPC, I am writing to submit a brief suggestion for priorities for funding next year. CPC should make special effort to reach out to low-income folks and in particular low-income housing communities to set priorities for next year's funding. These are folks who often, 1, have difficulty participating in digital surveys and or 2, feel disconnected or intentionally left out of public decision-making. When Amherst Climate Resilience Committee was preparing their recommendations for town projects, they reached out to public housing communities and renters to ask for their priorities, what amenities and recreation opportunities they would appreciate, what things they would like to bring to their neighborhoods, what needs they saw, etc. Their committee received lots of ideas and feedback that they wouldn't have otherwise. Let's do this here. I think it can be pretty straightforward to at least try by holding a meeting in the neighborhoods and partnering with residents to promote it. Greenfield Gardens and Oak Courts have resident committees who can help, and Leiden Woods and Elm Terrace probably have something similar. Apologies, I just don't know. While I was very glad to see the various recreation projects proposed last year, I'm fairly disappointed that most of the benefits will be going to the corner of town that is furthest away from public housing. What about Hillside Park? What about other improvements around Elm Street? Residents will be the best guide for what will be beneficial.
Just a note for the file, there is no citizens group at Oak Courts right now. We do have a tenants association at Elm Terrace, but we do not have one currently at Oak Courts. We keep trying to get one, but it's difficult.
Okay. And then just to finish his email, I appreciate the CPC is already taking a participatory approach. Let's keep it going and expand who's taking part. Thanks for your efforts.
Yeah.
And we'd be more than willing to offer the community rooms at either of Oak Court or Elm Terrace. we're better technology at Oak than we are at Elm than we are at Oak, but we can make it work.
Well, if we could arrange to have our meeting at, at Elm Terrace next month, and make sure, and if there could be, widespread.
Yeah, I can put it out, we put out, we can do like we call it robocalls, that's not what they are anymore, but to everyone, and we can put out written notices. We do that all the time for lots of stuff, so,
So
To
if-
every one of the units?
every one of the units,
So-
including Sullivan Lane.
So if we could do that and then and make sure that people will have an opportunity at public comment to talk about things that are important to
Yeah,
them.
and we have
That would be
enough,
great.
yeah, we have enough, communication, good communication with Greenfield Gardens, that we could get something down there, and we could certainly let it, Leiden Woods know as well. We wouldn't do a robocall or a handout to each of them, but we could.
And is there a way to do a computer hookup from Leiden Woods to Elm Terrace you're talking about?
Is there a way,
You mean like have it,
Like if people gathered
broadcast
there,
somewhere
and
else.
yeah.
have a screen set up where people are watching?
I don't think so unless they went through the city and got the meeting up online through the city. But I don't know what they have at Leiden Woods, let's say, for a community room with, I don't know what they have up there. I don't know.
It would be after, we've set up a due date of the 15th. So this would be after the 15th. So I'm wondering if we want to do something like, if there are, applications that come in from that area of town after, we'll kind of suspend the due date, or if we want to set up a special meeting before the due date, but it would have to be really soon.
You mean like for pre-application?
For the pre-application, yeah, because we set it up for the 15th of September, right?
Yeah. So you're saying that it would be bad if we had the meeting after the pre-app?
Yeah, because it's going to be tight as it is. If we have something next week, it's still tight for anybody who wants to do a pre-application.
Yeah, I guess I thought the meeting was gonna be, that was Donna. I guess I thought the meeting was gonna be getting people's feedback on the types of projects, that sort of thing.
Right, but if they have ideas for types of projects, they're not, and we have the pre-application date, at the 5th, before we meet with them, then those projects are not going to be eligible unless we suspend our rules.
Okay, Donna?
So at our last Recreation Commission meeting, we did do some forecasting about what we might put in this year. And I can tell you that we pretty solidly came out with doing a project at Hillside Park. So Hillside Park will be one of the pre-applications.
So that would help. But meanwhile, there's, I just picture people leaving Leiden Woods, young people, skateboard under their arms, hiking all that way to town. And,
Well, that's a whole different discussion.
yeah. Yeah. But I do think that John's point is,
Yes,
Yeah.
well taken. Definitely well taken.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep, it certainly is.
Okay. So getting back to the plan, do we want to just vote on saying, yeah, this is accepted?
Yeah.
yeah.
Move to accept the plan as presented.
Second.
All right, motion to accept it was seconded. Any other discussion? I guess I'll just say with the addition of adding in links
Yeah,
to those other plans. No other discussion, so we'll do a roll call vote on accepting the plan as it is. Tom,
yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Whiskey,
Yes.
Donna.
Yes.
All right, and I'm also a yes, so there's our plan for the year. Just gonna disconnect this. So let's see, next on our agenda, finished updates to committee review sheets. Yeah.
So can we go back to that other topic after we get through that stuff that's on the agenda?
Maybe we should, on the agenda where we have our next meeting on, on the agenda, maybe we should talk about it once we get to that.
Good.
Since that seems to fit.
Good.
So yeah, next on the agenda is finished updates to committee review sheets. That's the scoring system. I did download this one too. I guess we can.
I'd like to, you know, in the process of moving the discussion forward, I would like to accept the changes as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion on accepting it as it is?
Yeah, I have a clarification. So you're saying like accept the changes as they are right now and then move forward with the tweaking?
No, I think they're saying
This is
it's,
for the discussion, for the purpose of discussion.
I think you were saying accept this as it is and move on to the next agenda item.
No, I was,
Oh.
for the purpose of discussion.
Oh, okay.
have-
So now we're having
now
a
we're having a discussion.
I see.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you have tweaks, I guess now would be the time.
Well, there are some places that are not quite complete. Let's see if we start with, review, section 1, function. Okay,
Yeah, those
I
are
think-
all deleted.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is all, section 1 up there was all deleted and then this.
yeah.
Oh,
Section
yeah,
three,
yeah. Oh,
function.
I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, function placeholder.
I would add vulnerability preparedness plan, because that's also one of the plans we refer to.
And number 1.
Yep, because we have open space in the master plan.
Oh, I don't have, I was like, why isn't the editing working? I hadn't enabled it. Ability. Fairness plan, is that what it's called?
Yep. We have let's see. Number 3, we have the placeholder for alternative if not fully funded. We need to generate some
Yeah.
so I came up with some suggestions there, which I
Okay.
could just like type into the chat, then maybe we could go from there. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess if you had them in chat, I'll just copy them out and then we'll know. Well, I don't have the chat open, so.
oh, okay.
Um,
And there was
you wanna just
also
re-
something, oh, also under function, I think, if you scroll up a little bit. I just think it's confusing to say, number 3 there, project not included in city plan, but has some creative solutions to a community problem that is mentioned in the city plan. The but is not a priority, it just flummoxes me. I feel like we could lose that completely.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All right, and then the other thing I had was the alternatives if not fully funded. Do you want me to just read what I've got and then
Sure.
we can discuss it? Okay. So the top one would be clear plan to obtain alternative funding or modify plan.
Alternative funding or
Modify plan.
this would be number 5, right?
Yeah, and then the second one, provides ideas or alternative funding or plan modification, provides ideas for, I don't know, and this is
Yeah,
not,
I think that, yeah, I think that's right.
I'm just trying to make it like, okay, they got a clear plan, well, they got some idea.
Yeah.
And then that brings you to the next one, which is, like, not at all. can't move forward or unlikely to move forward without full funding. I don't know. That's my stab at the three, so maybe we can tighten that up.
Without full CPA funding.
Yeah, I was gonna say make the top, like the actual three alternatives if CPA request is not fully.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Alternatives if.
I think that's good.
Need to add this line over here, but last time I tried to do that, it messed it up. Oh,
There you
there we go.
Excellent job.
Oh,
Okay.
that's all I got.
And that was one I was thinking about and didn't do, so thank you, Donna.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought it was actually very, the new edits were good.
Did you guys discuss how you're defining an underserved or marginalized population?
Yeah, I think we said we were gonna look up a definition, and I don't think we did. I didn't.
Well, one of the things that can be a marker would be if the project takes place in one of those vulnerable areas,
Yeah.
right? Or community justice areas.
Yeah.
But I think we need to probably have more than that criteria.
Well, if we're in an area that has fewer parks, but in an area that has, because we're looking at the various places, but it has less advantageous housing. I mean, I think actually the environmental justice definitions that I've seen from the EPA fit this very well. Because what it means is these are folks who don't get what a lot of other folks in town get.
Yeah,
So for instance, we really only have one park, Hillside Park, on the western side of town that's really accessible for a good portion of the population that lives there.
so just for the purposes of talking,
And Rotary Park too.
and yeah, you got the pool, that end of town.
That's true.
It's a sled to get down there, but you can get there.
Yeah,
And on the east side of town or the north side of town, the north side of town doesn't have,
and the north side, so that would be, so we could say it's underserved for recreation. It's not necessarily underserved for housing.
And I would add that while the pool is a resource, when it's busy being the best resource during the summer, it's also a pay facility, so. that is
Right.
different
That's an
from
expensive facility.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It costs a lot.
yeah, well, that's a whole different discussion too. And I don't disagree with you at all. I think the prices are high, but I understand why they have to be too.
right.
yeah, even so, we lose money on it every year.
Yeah, no, yeah, there's no,
And the population could not easily access that particular program.
well, maybe, there could be in I don't know if the CPC could do this, and I don't know if the rec or the city would be willing. But we had again, I go back to my experience, and it's different because it was in a different place, but no child or family in the town of Bourne, if there was a recreation program or an admission fee, was turned away because they couldn't afford the fee. We had appropriated a sum of money for scholarships.
But but that's not, if someone came to us with that kind of a thing, we might look at the question of accessibility. but that's not our role here.
No, but that's where we talk about environmental justice and equity is being able to not just have the programs offered, but being able to
Right.
programs.
All I'm saying is the
participate in.
CPC is not really set up to necessarily, I don't know if. we
No,
can do
no,
those-
the record, no.
So it's a city issue. It's
Right.
not, but it's not
But-
something we can remedy.
But, okay, you could, okay.
Yeah.
We can go down a big rabbit.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that, so.
I guess one issue I have with this question is, directly benefits an underserved or marginalized population. I feel like it's gonna be, I mean, say you have something that you have to pay to do that's in an environmental justice area, or you have something that's free, but it's just outside the environmental justice area. Which one of those is a yes and which one's a no? You know what I mean?
If this were other than Leiden Woods is always kind of an outlier. And perhaps up by the fairgrounds where that's kind of an outlier up there too. But there's very few places in Greenfield, in the core, that you can't get to by foot if you're able to, we didn't have, we had to go to you gotta go to the tennis courts, you gotta get to the tennis courts. And anything in central core is all within a mile and a half. So if there's not something in that blue area up around Oak Court, okay, in that end of town, you're not that far to hop down a hillside, okay, or you're not that far really even to walk over to the high school if you wanted to use the courts or the field in the back. It's not out of reach for a lot of folks. There are some people, with mobility issues and other things, or parent won't take them or whatever. But there's not really any, in the central core, it's pretty easy to get to recreation offerings.
I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, what are we gonna say no to? Like obviously we're trying to incentivize, projects that are in areas where people are underserved, but if there's a project at Highland Park and people come from all over town to go to Highland Park, how do we say it doesn't benefit underserved or marginalized people if those people are coming to, to the park? I don't know, it's just kind of hard to say yes.
I don't like the word directly benefits a
Yeah.
particular subset. Benefits, I don't know, yeah.
So what I'm
Go ahead, Donna.
hearing is that we're talking about locations and extrapolating benefits to people based on locations, but I'm wondering if it makes more sense to style this as, is within a certain closeness to, a place that's been deemed an environmental justice area. Because really, if the way we're going to vote on it is to be voting by location, then maybe the way that we deal with this is by saying location instead of saying population.
But we're not just talking about recreation. So for instance, the housing that we supported directly benefits an underserved population.
True.
And they're right in the center of town. The historical stuff, if we look at it from the point of view of children the children in the Greenfield Public Schools are often poorer than the general population as a whole. Just because that's where our child population is right now. In that case, going to that museum would benefit an underserved population. It's a little stretch, but just to put it out there. So I think it's gonna be case by case, and we're gonna each have to figure out what we mean by it. But the idea is trying to make sure that low-income populations, that populations, disabled population, do they, the wheelchair ramp,
Yeah,
it's a marginalized population in town. Are we, and so therefore, giving it an extra 5 points is a good thing to do. So I think we're gonna have to, it's gonna be case by case, but I think it's important to say that we have a priority there.
I'm wondering if it makes sense to reframe it just slightly as the application demonstrates, like adequately demonstrates benefit to an underserved or marginalized population. So that way it's on the applicant to demonstrate it, and you can say that, yep, they did that, yes, no, they didn't, as opposed to it's yours. That's entirely subjective on you.
But then you run into an issue where maybe it does directly benefit one of those groups, but they didn't say that, I don't know.
But that's a
Yeah.
question that we can ask in our interview. We can ask directly to anybody who that's unclear about, well, who would you see coming to this? Who would you see using this? Who would you see living there? That kind of thing. Because we're never going to have a perfect thing, but I like Christian's formulation because I think it clarifies what we're looking at. And the application is not just the written piece, it's the presentation that was made to us as well.
you could just, this is maybe too simplistic, take the word directly out and put the word also in.
Or just leave the whole thing, leave directly out and just put benefits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Susan's right. I think that we're going to have to look at them on a case by case basis and make our own justifications for our yeses and nos.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's right.
okay.
And I guess since this isn't like, if you score higher than another project, you're definitely getting funding over that
Right.
project.
Right.
I think that makes it a little less.
Yeah, this isn't the MCAS. We won't graduate.
I have a question. So I noticed in the CPC mailing that went out today that our scoring sheet was highlighted on the CPC webpage as an example.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
Oh,
Now
look
we're
at that.
changing it.
Oh, no.
What mail?
Well, that's okay.
What mailing did you get? I didn't see that.
It was something from this Stuart from the
Really?
CPC, and it was all these key takeaway 10 articles or whatever, and
Oh, that piece.
Yeah.
I didn't even look at that. That's interesting.
I didn't get it, but
uh,
I look at it now.
Well, la-di-da.
yeah.
I'm surprised. I thought I was signed up for everything.
Now, I got that, but I didn't look at it, so.
Okay. Does anyone have any other edits to make on this, or are we happy with this? Not all that still needed.
I think I'm happy with it until I try it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, then we'll update it again.
Yeah.
So I would like to amend my, to say as amended,
Mhm.
as opposed to, as presented.
Second.
Okay. Okay, I think technically then we have to vote on the amendment and then.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote on changing the motion to, as amended with the amendments that we just made.
Right.
So Tom, we're
Say
voting
yes.
on the amendment.
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Wisty,
Yes,
Donna,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Okay,
No,
so
the motion.
now the main motion to accept this draft as it is now. Tom,
Aye.
Yes.
Susan, Wisty,
yes.
Donna.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm also a yes, so that is accepted. Okay, I'm gonna unplug my computer again. All right, and I will send these to Christian after our meeting. drafts. Okay, next on our agenda, we have approval of payments.
Yes, 1 second.
First one, so we have 2 recorder, public hearing notice, and Staples banners for project sites.
Yes, so we have. Yep, so the typical recorder payment, because we had to do 2 notices for the public hearing. That was $470 and $80, $470.80. And then we purchased 10 banners that say, your Community Preservation Act dollars at work. Thank you, citizens of Greenfield. Those will be at all the different project sites. They're like 4 by 2, I think. And so 10 of those was $474.99. So I have the receipts for those now and I'll be paying them. So I guess I need your approval.
Move that we pay them as presented.
Okay,
Yeah, second?
seconded by Wisty. Any other discussion? Okay, so voting on approving the payments as presented. Tom,
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Misty?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes,
All right, I'm a yes too. Okay, so those payments are approved. So then going back to old business, fiscal year 23 project updates. And review final report template as prepared by Christian.
So project updates, the attorneys approved our grant agreements. So there's a grant agreement and then there's a memorandum of understanding that's for the municipal side, that both of those are approved. So I prepared all of them for all the projects. I sent the drafts out to all the different recipients so they could look them over, make sure they didn't have any questions before they signed them first. And so they're slowly trickling and getting back to me. I'm actually meeting with Fairgrounds tomorrow to do a site review of their project and have them sign that agreement. There is one added condition to that project actually, because the preservation restriction is gonna take quite a while. MHC is gonna have to review it first and then everyone's gonna have to sign it and then it's gonna go back to MHC again. And it's gonna for them to do their signature. So basically it's just a condition where eventually that has to get completed. If for some reason they decided not to sign it, I don't know why they would. We could claw the money back, but that's the only slight tweak to that I know that won't happen. So yeah, Fairgrounds is the first one to move forward. The other one should be happening pretty soon as well.
And then on the historical projects.
Yeah, the historical projects, the Historic Commission met tonight to kind of do a revote of what they did before. Last time, back in November 2022, they kind of just voted to support the historic projects, but the attorney felt that, and I agree with them, that it should be very specific that they're saying these are historically significant documents. This is a historically significant machine that's getting refurbished. So they did a vote tonight with that specific language and they're going to send us a memo with that specific language for our records. So, because that's what the CPA law says, it has to be voted on them, that it's historically significant in Greenfield.
And those 2 projects, they can't sign it until we get that.
Yeah, we had to wait for them to do that, but they had a special meeting for us so they could not hold anything up.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? I mean, you've been CC'd on everything, Travis.
That's pretty much where projects are that I know. And then we have the review final report template as prepared by Christian.
Yeah, I sent that to all of you.
I can share that.
Yeah.
Yes, put it on the screen. I mean, it's pretty simple. This is New Bedford. Again, my templates for the grant agreements came from New Bedford. This also came from New Bedford.
Button to share.
Again, yep.
Sorry.
And it's basically, so actually your disbursement policy that you guys, based on Northampton, actually has a mid-project report as well. I will maybe slightly tweak this to do that, but this is what they'd submit at the end of their project. When they're all
Describe the goals, describe the purpose. conditions prior to project, current conditions, noted implementation of the project, preserve and enhance the city, project timeline, funding sources.
So then do they send a copy of that milestone thing so that, or do they report in periodically or?
Yeah, so in the grant agreements, it requires them to check in every 3 months at the very least to submit me a report to me. And then kind of a little bit separately, when they want to request a payment, like the final payment, they have to submit this report. So basically whenever they want money, they're checking in and telling us what's happened. I mean, I'll be doing site visits as like the projects progress, just to check in.
Cool. Feels good. We don't have to vote on this.
I don't think you need to vote on it, I just
Yeah.
wanted you guys, in case there was anything you wanted to change.
I think that, question number one, describing the goals and objectives, I mean, isn't that something that they sort of have, I mean, are they just copying from their application here? It feels like it might, I don't know, feels a little redundant to me. That was the only-
Probably, but in some point in the future, someone might just be looking at the final report for a project and you want to have that information there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
the other,
true.
yeah, I think the other thing is sometimes things change. And, you know, we were going to fix that bank of, you know, this walkway, but the bank washed out. And so we had, our goals changed. And it doesn't mean that the whole project's changed, but there may have been a change in goals because of, you know, real life issues. So I think it's worth having.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of like what I want to hear more, you know, like, how did it go? You know, not like, where were you when you started, but how, you know, where did you start and where, you know, what happened and where did you end up?
I guess that's kind of these two, describe existing conditions prior to project and then describe current conditions relative to project.
Right.
And then talking about the implementation.
Yeah,
I think, and I think the implementation, how it preserves and enhances the city
Yeah.
is useful because it forces them to possibly think further along the line. So, yeah, we built this thing, but now what? So I like that.
So, are we gonna do anything with this information? Like, one thing that occurs to me is to help those people get publicity for what they did, which would also give the CPC publicity. But it seems like, you know, some kind of a celebration needs to happen. I mean, that's a bit extreme, but.
I mean, the city's comms director is pretty excited about CPA, so like if a project finishes and we get the final photos, he'll totally share them on the city's Facebook. And I mean, if it's a big one, like, I mean, the fairgrounds one, that'll be pretty awesome when the barns are
Yeah.
updated.
Yeah.
Totally do a press release. So,
Can't have a do-over on that one, huh?
What,
That project.
do over? Oh,
Revote.
No, we can't.
After I walked around the fairgrounds at a concert that was up there this summer, and I made it a point to walk through New Granny. I still just don't get it.
You gotta suck that one up.
I know. And you should have heard it was bad because I was stewing to my two sons that were with me for most of the concert, so.
Your poor sons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we need to thank them.
All right, so if there's no other comments on this, so next on our agenda, a recruitment of members, which I don't think we need to recruit anyone anymore.
yeah, so latest updates are Dave is going to be returning to the committee via the mayor's appointment, because he's not on the planning board anymore. And he's not going to be, but he can still be appointed as a general member. So
Excellent.
he'll be back.
I did push him up.
Thank you.
And so then the historic commission approved their new member. And he actually has been through city council, but he's not able to be sworn in yet. You have to wait a little bit. But at the next meeting, he should be here.
Cool.
I don't know if Dave will be able to be at the next meeting, probably not, if the historic commission member wasn't at this meeting. But pretty soon we'll have those two filled. And then I don't know about planning board, if they have voted on anyone yet, but they're having issues. They have just enough for quorum on their board right now, so they're kind of just getting by right now, but I can check in with the mayor's office to see if that's happening. So, yeah, we'll be almost back to full strength.
Yeah.
Good.
Great.
Yeah, I know Charles has finally gotten back on the board, so he's the chair. So there was a glitch in getting him reappointed.
Yay.
All right.
Hey,
I'm so glad Dave's gonna be back.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's a nice man.
Yeah.
Nice
yeah,
person.
yeah.
All right, so the only thing left on the agenda is our next meeting, September 28th, 2023, which we were discussing earlier.
Right.
I said we would get
Right.
back to it.
Right.
So if we want to do one before, that's reasonable. I mean, we're at the 24th
Right.
now.
Right.
It would probably have to be next week. Because if you do it the week after, you're bumping right up against,
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Does it need to be an official meeting? Could two members go there and field things by themselves, two or three members, as long as it's not quorum, I guess.
I don't think. Well,
I guess it depends on what our objective.
Yeah.
if you're gonna go through the whole thing with these folks, and I think you're gonna have to, no matter where you met in town, if you met at Four Corners, it's not Four Corners anymore, the Learning Center or whatever it is. Those folks aren't gonna be up to speed, so I think you're gonna have to go through, and yes, it can be a subcommittee or a couple of members, but you're really gonna have to go through a quick overview,
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad we didn't have this earlier in the process. I'm just looking at the calendar.
Yeah, and I guess in my mind, I mean, it almost seems like, the pre-application phase is almost over, but once we get all the pre-applications, maybe when we're reviewing projects for this year, maybe we have a meeting there then, so people can weigh in on all the projects, and then they can get ideas for the next year.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
That's one
Yeah.
thought. And then we could get feedback, like in person.
Yeah, I just think we're running out of time to
Yeah.
be able to do this.
Yeah.
And especially like, throwing together a pre-app, like I know a pre-app isn't much, but
But still, it's like, what do you want to do? And-
yeah.
So I think your suggestion is really good. If we think about ways we could include people, encourage people somehow throughout the year, so that it would give them lots of time to think about it. And the other thing, that just in different ways, a lot of us have been kind of trained about how these processes work just by osmosis. And if I'm making an assumption here, and I know that, but if we're dealing with a population that hasn't been in meetings like this and done the whole thing, I think it would be really good to bring them in and have them.
Yeah. And that's, but you're right, but that's anywhere in town.
Right.
That's 90% of the folks aren't paying attention to what we're doing on a monthly basis.
Well, how about if,
Sad as that is.
once we get the pre-applications, and by the way, have we had people?
Yeah.
5 pre-applications so far.
Okay.
That have already come in?
Yeah, okay. If, because we're just gonna go through them and say they meet criteria or don't. But then we could take those pre-applications while we're waiting for the full applications and bring those out, do a meeting, and say, this is what's come in.
Yeah.
And this is what, we're expecting. And give us, some education about what the process is and all the rest of that. And then say, how would you like to be involved in that? And, and do that, in October.
Would be the time for that.
Yeah, October.
Because last time when you did pre-apps, you had interviews too. We're not doing that
Right.
this time. So the
Right.
September meeting, unless there's some very in-depth questions that can't be answered at that point, you should be able to just yes or no.
Yeah.
In one meeting.
Right, so if we could do that in October, that sets up the process. And since we already know this, for instance, there's going to be one application from around Hillside. So where it would not be like, there's nothing here, everything is at Highland Park and there's nothing on this side of town. And that would be a beginning.
I mean, the only splash pads,
Right,
in that park.
right, right.
I have a question. I think I know the answer, but I gotta ask it anyways. If a nonprofit or a citizens group or whatever has a building that is considered historic, but it is not municipal, and there are already programs in that building or buildings or whatever, can an application come in under historic preservation for that type of, it's a building, let's say, it's an old house. And I don't want to pick on anybody, ABC Inc. is a nonprofit and is in that building. Can they come in to request historic preservation funds, even though you're not buying it, it's not an acquisition?
Yeah.
Unlike housing where it has to be.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting. I watched a webinar. It was about historic preservation and CPA. And one of the ways Springfield has figured out to actually do housing rehab, because for housing rehab under the housing category, it's not allowed unless it was created or acquired with CPA funds. But for historic preservation, rehab and restoration is allowable. And so they do work on homes that are considered historic, that are old enough, and they repaint and fix up facades and roofs on these homes under historic, even though really it's housing rehab, but it's completely allowable under CPA if it's historic.
Yeah.
So.
We did a church. I mean, we did a church roof. There was a lot of blowback on that, but we did it anyways, but.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because it's like you're preserving the historic structures in town and therefore that benefits everyone.
Yeah.
It's the historic character.
Right, yeah.
Or whatever.
I mean, one of the pre-apps is kind of almost exactly that.
Okay.
So you guys will get to talk about that.
Okay,
Get to talk about it later.
all right.
I want to ask Tom, at the different housing places at Lyden Woods, Greenfield Garden,
Yeah.
Do they have community meetings or anything? Like,
I'm sure they do, but we don't, let me rephrase that. We have good relations with them relative to voucher holders and getting people on priority list. Relative to their day-to-day operations, I don't know if they have community meetings.
I was just wondering if there was a way to kind of communicate with those different groups, just even about our interest of.
Well, if we're going to have a meeting, let's say, after the applications or when you're doing reviews, and you want to have that at Elm Terrace, we'll broadcast it out to everybody that way, Lyden Woods,
Right.
Millhouse, Greenfield Gardens, we'll make sure that they at least get notified. They may not get the door-to-door leaflet from us, but we'll forward the leaflet to their people and let them decide if they want to do that.
Why don't we plan that the October meeting will be
At Elm Terrace?
at Elm Terrace, and that we will, and that, we'll do whatever announcements we have to do or
Right.
whatever, and we'll talk about what the pre-applications are.
I don't think I can direct feed for live.
Yeah, so you can't consider anything a true hybrid and advertise it as a hybrid meeting unless it's with this.
It'll just have to be an in-person.
It'll be an in-person meeting.
All right. I mean, maybe GCET.
I mean, anyone can record it and then upload it to GCTV later.
Yeah, but don't they have people that do meetings?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Philippe could come and record it or one of the
Yeah,
others.
but it's not
It's not right. It's not a hybrid, right? Yeah.
Because people can't respond to it.
Right, right.
But yeah, I think let's plan for at Elm Terrace, and the main thing will be discussion of what we got through.
Maybe for our next meeting, we should have an agenda item to talk about planning for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can.
Yeah.
We can set it up any way you want. The TV's not like that big, so it's not gonna, I wouldn't plan on technology there. I guess I'd leave it at that. So if you're gonna do a PowerPoint, hand them out. I know that's old fashioned, but I would suggest that probably would be best. And, but we can set it up. We can get 80 people in there.
It's all, it's accessible, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have 2 ways that you can get in accessible. Yeah.
What about using Nancy's camera for?
We're still in the same situation, because we could use a camera, something to project we could put something to project onto it.
Yeah, I
But
just,
we're still in the same situation in terms of hybrid.
I was just thinking about not having to print up 80
Yeah.
things and not know how many people are coming.
well, we could put them up, if we had a PowerPoint projector, we could
Yeah,
put them up
that's what
on
we're
our,
talking
plug
about.
it into our TV.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about,
It's just the way that where the TV is, it's on the long way, it's on the short way and not the long way relative to seating. But,
No, this would be like putting it up on the screen. It wouldn't be on the TV, it would be on the
okay,
screen.
and we have a movie screen that we
Yeah,
could pull.
so we'd be
down.
putting it up on a screen.
It's an old fashioned
Yeah,
metallic,
yeah,
it's really
yeah.
good.
There we go. So we should think about that, as a possibility, and we know someone who has one.
All right,
So our next meeting, Christian, were we like alternating with the?
Yeah,
SDIC?
so right now, your next meeting would be at John's On in like the big room.
Okay.
So it could
Okay,
still,
great.
it could still be hybrid. Ideally, if SGIC and CPC are still always gonna be at the same times, the library is going to have a hybrid room. I think you guys could probably claim that when it's available.
Yeah, that's not until December, that's my
Is
understanding.
that what you heard?
That's what we've been, there were some people did check on that, and that's what we were told.
we do Zoom meetings.
Yeah, you can do,
I can do a Zoom meeting there if you want.
well, no, it's not technically an official policy, but it's not really good to do hybrid unless it's with this system.
It makes perfect
If there's
sense.
any issues or anything, IT knows the system.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you can't hold the meeting because it's
Right.
like a technical glitch. It just screws everything
Yeah.
up, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
So next meeting, September 28th, will be at John's On. Does anyone have anything to add to the agenda for the next meeting that, other than just this?
Yeah,
general
I
stuff
think
that
this is really where we're going.
Yep. And so next time we'll be reviewing pre-applications. We'll see how many we get. I have a feeling it's gonna be a lot. We've already gotten 5, and I think most of them came in right at the end last time.
Yeah, I should check how many we had at this point last year.
So maybe some tough decisions this year.
Yeah,
All right,
Okay.
anyone,
I would like to move that we adjourn.
all right, motion to adjourn,
Second,
second?
it is not debatable.
No? Anyone, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. So 6:40 PM,
All right.
are adjourned.
And it's getting dark already.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
I was just wondering.